simplify everything. Make her the spokesman and the guardian of a corrupt and incompetent status quo, an elite. And you make Trump the agent of change that President Obama wasn't.
When Errol Morris debuted his documentary about Steve Bannon last year at the Venice Film Festival, early reviewers charged that by profiling the president's former chief strategist and former executive chairman of Breitbart.com, the Academy Award-winning filmmaker was serving as a mouthpiece for Donald Trump. It was the first time in decades that the acclaimed director of The Thin Blue Line and The Fog of War couldn't get a movie into theaters.
The experience was so damn weird. People became so angry with me and with the movie. They certainly wanted to deplatform not just Bannon, but they wanted to deplatform me and American Dharma.
But now, Morris's film is finally coming to the big screen. I sat down with the 71-year-old Morris, whom Roger Ebert called as great a filmmaker as Hitchcock or Fellini, to talk about the censorious first reactions to his new film, his history with Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos, and what he learned and didn't learn about Steve Bannon's philosophy. Errol Morris, thanks for talking to Reason.
Thank you very much.
Let's start with the title, American Dharma. Steve Bannon, in your discussions with him, comes back to this idea of Dharma as central to his worldview.
It's hard for me to talk about Badens philosophy because Badens philosophy is a hodgepodge of Catholicism, Hindu philosophy, pop psychology. It's almost like a vomit pad of various unsorted, undifferentiated ideas. I've made a career, well, it seems to be a career, I can't really be sure, even at this point, of chronicling various kinds of self-deception. People who imagine themselves one way, but in fact, they could be wrong. In fact, they are wrong. And Bannon is my best effort. That's what puzzles me so much. Maybe I shouldn't be puzzled. Maybe I am the one self-deceived here about what I'm doing. But here, I have a guy who sees himself in Napoleonic terms. He imagines himself as this world historical individual who's changing the political landscape and ushering in a new age for the working class. Working class unite under the banner of Trumpism, of Bannonism. But underneath all of it is nonsense talk. And to me, as often as not, it comes very close to, what's the technical term? Bullshit.
Now, he does, at a certain point in the movie, he lays out his three big things that he says are, I guess, Bannonism or Trumpism, stopping mass illegal immigration, bringing manufacturing jobs back from Asia, and ending pointless foreign wars. Is that his program, or is that, or Bannonism is that plus a million different things, or?
Is that his program? I suppose you could say that's his program. Does the program really make any sense? Say you want to protect manufacturing jobs for the American working class. Do I think that's a bad thing? No, I think that's a good thing. But do I think that the right way to do it is to build a wall? No, I think it's cretinous. I think that it's intellectually dishonest. I don't think it helps anybody or anything. It's violent, it's mean-spirited, it's angry.
So is the interest in talking to somebody like Bannon is to get into the mindset of one of the architects of this, of the politics of anger?
Yes.
Well, that might lead us into a discussion of the early reception of the documentary when it was
Savaged!
Yes. I was going to say when it debuted, but when it was savaged a year ago, roughly speaking.
Yes.
And I'm thinking there was a New Yorker review that the headline was something like, or the charge was that you let Bannon off the hook. And then there came a kind of moment both where Bannon himself was kind of canceled from the culture. He was going to speak at the New Yorker Festival in New York with David Remnick and have an interview, and that was stopped. Your movie was effectively kind of held hostage in all of this. It didn't get the distribution that it would have gotten, one assumes, if it had been, you had been talking to somebody differently, or if it was seen as, no, you made him wriggle on the hook.
If I'd been
Talk
talking
about
to
that.
Mr. Rogers, I would have been in better shape.
So let's talk about that. First off, what's it feel like when you produce something and it's, you think it's a well-wrought urn, this is a interesting, in-depth, revelatory discussion with a person who was in a position of power, and you're revealing his inner working, and then somebody says, "Oh, you just gave him a platform."
What do you do if you were me? You think about killing yourself. I didn't do it. Call me a coward.
You're no Steve Bannon.
I'm no Steve Bannon. I know Steve Bannon, and you're no Steve Bannon. You feel, if you're me, should I have made this film? What was I thinking? Are people right about what they're saying? I'm susceptible to criticism. If people tell me I'm no damn good, I'm certainly willing to entertain that possibility. But the experience was so damn weird. People became so angry with me and with the movie. They certainly wanted to deplatform not just Bannon, but they wanted to deplatform me and American Dharma. I would read reviews saying that this movie was so toxic, that was a word that it would appear again and again and again, so poisonous that it should never have been made, that it shouldn't receive distribution. And in one review, someone said that it had discredited everything I had ever done. It had lifted the curtain on my lack of moral scope, moral fiber. Does one enjoy reading that kind of thing? Not so much.
Do you worry that's broadly reflective? You were talking earlier about anger in American culture, particularly politics. It almost, this is, coming from the liberal side of things or the progressive side of things, with people saying, you shouldn't be talking to somebody like Bannon, because to do so is to somehow betray your, what is right, or we shouldn't be engaging in conversation with people we disagree with. Do you worry that that's a place that we're getting to as a society?
A place we're getting to? We're there. How do I even explain it? If I can explain it, people so deeply freaked out by what happened in 2016 that they just want it to go away. They want to make believe it never happened. If it did happen, it was the victim. We were the victims of a terrible conspiracy. People want to disassociate themselves from it, from the horror of it. Mommy, please make it go away. I don't like this. I don't think I understood how strong that feeling, the feeling of just out and out despair and fear. I still feel it acutely 2+ years after the election.
Do you feel like the movie now, with a little bit of time, and the fact that Bannon, is now a couple of years out of, or a year and a half, whatever, no longer part of the Trump administration, he's less potent a figure, so that people can kind of approach the movie without kind of just going seeing red all the time?
Without going batshit crazy?
Yeah.
Well, Bannon is back in the picture again. He is organizing a radio show, podcast, to help Trump in this period of possible impeachment. He's not gone away. Deplatforming, I don't know what people imagine it is. Maybe they see it as a kind of magic slate. You pull up the acetate window and bye-bye, the image is gone, we're okay now. He's still here, and he's still doing the same frightening, disruptive, malicious things that he's been doing all along.
Do you think he was actually instrumental? Yeah, because there's, in watching the movie, there's kind of a sense that he's obviously a bullshit artist on some point. Like, he's taking credit,
Yes.
he's taking deferred credit for certain things, et cetera. Was he responsible for Trump's victory, do you think? Or is he kind of like just, he's a very good salesman and he knows how to take credit for a sale that was going to take place anyway?
I don't think it was a sale that was going to take place anyway. I don't like his politics. I don't like his crackpot ideologies. But I do buy into his belief that he made a big difference in the election. I wish it weren't so, but he, from early on, had decided to go after Hillary Clinton. The book, Schweitzer's Clinton Cash. It's not well known, but Schweitzer was writing previously about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden in the Ukraine. This is all a playbook, for better or for worse. I don't want to suggest some kind of arcane conspiracy, but people were after these people, and they were successful. I mean, if the aim was to bring Hillary Clinton down, by hook or by crook, they succeeded.
Does it matter if it's by hook or by crook? And to be honest, I'm not exactly sure which is hook and which is crook, but...
Nor am I.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton, the Bidens, to a certain degree, and Trump certainly, they reveal how power operates or how power circulates at a very high level. And to many people, when that's revealed, it's like, there's something wrong here. There's something skeevy here. And it may not be the worst thing in the world to understand how influential people, work and arrange things to their benefit. And then also to make it look as if they did it all on their own, that it's all meritocratic, or that it just happened. That's not a bad thing, is it, to reveal how power operates?
Probably not. I mean, you feel that someone in the last 2 or 3 years has lifted up a rock and you see all of these bugs, Democratic and Republican bugs crawling around underneath the rock. It makes me wonder whether this whole idea that I've had of America is just a delusion.
And that's an America which is certainly not, it's not one without its many dark corners or
Many dark corners.
Yeah, like almost only dark corners, but it's a happier place, it's a fairer place than what you're revealing now. So
I used to talk about fig leaf equality, that no one really believes in equality, but they do believe in paying lip service to equality. Fig leaf equality, the appearance of equality, tilting towards rather than against equality. Nowadays, I feel that everything that, to me, made America America, not because there was perfect equality, perfect freedom, perfect fairness, perfect justice, but somehow those as ideals have been utterly abandoned and replaced with a kind of cynicism, and even beyond cynicism, a kind of nihilism. You know, I'm on the left. No fooling. My only trouble with the left is the left usually isn't left enough for me. I don't know what one is supposed to do about what's going on. I'm a filmmaker, so I try to make a film about it. I try to think about it in my own small way.
Mm-hmm. You've taken heat for doing commercials for Theranos, the great fraudulent.
Well, that's
blood.
absurd.
Well, let's talk about that. And why are people wrong to be like, God damn it, Errol Morris, here you're talking to Steve Bannon, you're doing ads for Elizabeth Holmes. Why should I watch anything you do?
Maybe you shouldn't. I earn my living predominantly through commercials. I've done commercials for now well over 20 years. A lot of my income comes from directing commercials, not from making my own movies. I've turned down commercials. Most recently, I turned down a whole set of commercials for Juul.
Oh, they smoke vaping.
The vaping company.
Why? They're saving hundreds of thousands of lives.
Well, so the claim was. I had my doubts. I didn't want to get involved. I turned down military advertising. I've been offered various campaigns over the years. Just don't want to take them. I don't feel I should be encouraging poor kids to get their faces blown off in Afghanistan and Iraq. So I don't do it. I've turned down a lot of commercials over the years, maybe not as many as I should, but a lot.
So besides the paycheck, not a small thing.
Well, wait a second, with Theranos.
Yeah.
So with Theranos, the company that represented me for commercials told me about Elizabeth Holmes. Now, this is before the shit hit the fan. Mm-hmm. Elizabeth Holmes was on the cover of endless business magazines. She was endlessly written about. She was the 30-year-old multi-billionaire who presided over this company, Theranos. Every time I'm offered, okay, I've done endless work. I could go through a list of companies, but there's an awful lot of them. IBM, Apple, Best Buy, Citibank, and on and on and on and on. Do I do due diligence for every company that I work for? I don't. For the most part, I know something about the companies going into it, just like I knew something about Juul when I decided not to take that job. Theranos, I personally liked Elizabeth Holmes. And I saw what she was doing as being possibly good. I'm scared of needles. I don't like having my blood taken. I thought this could be a great thing. Doing an analysis on the basis of 1 or 2 drops of blood taken with a finger stick. I liked it without knowing really whether it was workable technology. So I take the blame for that, although there was no indication at that time that this was going to fall down like a house of cards.
Would you be interested, would she be the type of person you would love to do a documentary about? Or the type of figure you would find interesting when you talk about people who are, kind of self-delusional?
I love pariahs. I'm not revealing anything even surprising. Would I make a documentary about Elizabeth Holmes? I wanted to. Even after I knew that she was in trouble, I wanted to, but it was not going to be a puff piece. It was not going to be advertising. Advertising, you're being paid to promote a company. And I feel, and I still feel, that there's a mystery at the heart of Elizabeth Holmes that has gone unexamined. What did she think she was doing? Was she some confidence woman, a trickster who never really believed in her own technology? Did she have the capacity to deceive herself, to delude herself? What was actually going on in all of this?
You started out by talking about many people who responded negatively and hostilely to American Dharma, to the Steve Bannon documentary and your engagement with him, where they just didn't want to deal with something horrible that had happened.
They wanted to go away.
And one way to do that is to ignore it or pretend that it never happened.
That is one way to do it, yes.
So what do you hope then, now that the movie is getting the release, that it arguably deserved a year ago, what is the thing that you want audiences to take away from it more than anything else?
I want people to see the movie and to think about it, to think about the issues that are expressed in the movie, to think about what's happening in this country, perhaps why it's happening, and to think really seriously about what to do about it. What to do about it is not avoiding it. What to do about it is not pretending that nothing is really happening, or that it was an accident, or it was some implacable conspiracy imposed on us by the Russians or whoever. I think we need to actually confront what's going on in this country and try to work as hard as we possibly can to changing things.